So you're here to learn how to write your business plan. Before doing any project, first I'd like to clearly identify the main objectives. Here, there are three main reasons why you would want to write a business plan. A, to determine whether your business has a chance of making a good profit. And B, to provide an estimate of your startup costs and how much you'll need to invest or finance. And C, to convince investors or lenders to fund your business. So guess what? If A and B turn out to be strong, then C will be easy too. And that is what my focus is on today. Validating your business idea through writing this business plan. Hi, my name is Adrien Beyk. I'm the founder and CEO of Quanta, Vici, a small wearable company based here in Toronto, Canada. I'm not here to sell you my services or ebook on how to become the first trillionaire ever. I'm doing this because I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. I'm a strong believer in open source venture creation, and this is a topic that keeps coming up in my consultation sessions. And there are amazing channels out there like Valuetainment, Lingui Marina, Dan Locke, The Future, Mark Rayshak, the list goes on. So a lot to learn from those channels. What I am sharing with you today are bulletproof methods that I used for launching my own products. Methods that I have learned after years of research in addition to actual hands-on trial and error. Methods that if you follow, you will be able to identify whether your product or service idea is profitable before you risk quitting your job and investing a lot of money and time into it.
Cheer District is the only mobile application offering cheerleading specific training backed by science.
You projected like $1.2 million. And what was it this year?
So we're expecting $140,000.
Sorry, $140,000.
Yeah.
And you expect to jump from $140,000 to $1 million in a year?
The burn rate you're going through right now.
So our monthly burn rate is about 100.
Whoa, guys.
You're burning 100 grand a month?
So how much did you pay to build this app?
About $950,000.
$950,000?
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
They spent almost
what?
$1 million to make this app.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
Who built it for you?
Holy.
God. If you don't know any better, or you don't have someone next to you who knows better, then it's so easy to be taken advantage of.
Wow, that's rough. That's hard.
It happens
a hard
every
lesson.
single day, every day.
So that doesn't happen to you. Okay, so let's start with part one, the idea. Everything starts with an idea, that's great. Nowadays, unlike a few years ago, when an idea pops to my head, I don't just start drawing diagrams or start coding. I write 1 or 2 pages of a business plan for it. Let's start like this. Let's say you've come up with an idea, and it can be a product or a service. It can be something completely new, or something that already exists, or something that already exists, but you have modified it. You have hopefully enhanced it. Whatever it is, the next steps are more or less the same. Hey, come back, come back. Don't get distracted by those notifications, your newsfeed on Instagram, those are always there. This is important stuff, I promise you. Part two, this is what you've been waiting for. The business plan. I don't want to cover bullshit. I don't want to cover things that I've read online that I haven't taken into practice. These are things that are practical. The only way you can properly test your idea is to do market validation. And therefore you need to have a basic business plan. Now, what does this business plan entail? I will not get into too much detail, but I will give you an idea of everything that you need to have. It comes down to 10 main sections. Whatever format you want to follow, it's completely fine as long as you check off everything that is on this list. Especially for the next video, market validation, we are going to use almost everything that is going to be covered on the business plan. All right, so almost all business plans usually start with the problem section. The problem section, part one, what problem are you trying to solve? Try to explain this in mathematical terms. Here's an example. Let's say your product is a COVID-19 test device. An amateur would come and say, the problem is that people have COVID and we need to know. But the business person with the business perspective would break this down like this. Current COVID test devices cost X dollars in T hours, and to dispose of the bag and test tubes, hospitals cannot recycle them, so they pay Y dollars. On a larger scale of 100 tests per day, this is not environmental friendly and also costs too much. So now You're spotlighting the cost in terms of math. And then your solution would go something like this. Here, the best way to do things is to first be simple and direct, also mathematical. Here's an example. Continuing on this last example. You can say that our COVID tests also cost X dollars in T-hours, but our bag and test tubes are recyclable, which helps you save, for example, 25 cents per test. Then you have saved $25 per day, and not to mention they are environmental friendly. And in a year, you have saved $9,000. You get the point. This is a hypothetical example going based on the numbers in the previous case. And 3, it's the audience. This is one of the most important things. You want to know who has this problem. What do they look like? Where are they? Where do they live? Where are they from? What do they do? How much money do they make? How can you find them? What's their language? Are they millennials or are they Gen Z? You got to figure all these things out. Make yourself a demographic table. Again, try to describe all metrics using numbers. Quanta, Vici, my company, has an advisory board, obviously. And one of my advisors, Anthony, mentioned something that is going to stay with me for the rest of my days. He said, if you love your customers' problems, your customers will love your solutions. So keep that in mind. I think that's a really good way to keep things in perspective in terms of the importance of the audience. Part 4, competition. The way I like to do my competition research is that I like to make a whole table of all my competitors and make rows of all the key features that I want to compare. This is critical as it will give a huge jump start when it comes to identifying your strategies and also find ways to convince potential buyers, proving why you are better. Here's a hint. This can also help with your audience research. For example, for Quanta Vici, early on, what I found was that almost all of the heated wearables that exist on the market are designed for sports. And when I was doing my competitor research, looking at the ratings and reviews, I found that only less than 10% of their buyers are buying those heated wearables for sports and those types of recreational activities. What I found was the majority of people are buying heated wearables because they want to be warm in their day-to-day life. So that was a huge finding. You know, something that looks thick, that has a battery life that dies after 2 hours is not going to work out for someone who wants to use heated wearables on their day-to-day life. So that was a big finding that kind of shaped the whole company's mission for our heated wear line. Now I'm going to stop geeking out about my own company. Let's go back to the business plan. Part 5, unique value proposition or key differentiators. Here you want to perfectly communicate why you're better. Why should people choose you over other options? And part 6, size of market. Now that you have a good idea about your problem, solution, competition, and audience, guess what is the size of your addressable market? Apply the demographic filter you have in your head and come up with some rough estimates. If you're opening a local store versus an app, the addressable market sizes vary by magnitudes, and that is why we are doing this. This whole business plan market validation is not just about customers. Half of it is just about you understanding what you're getting yourself into. Here you might realize the idea is not practical or the market size is not as large as you were expecting, and then it might lead to abandoning the idea or kind of pivoting. Part 7, money. Here moderation is key. I would never work with someone that is solely after money, who is just mainly driven by money. And I would also never work with someone that doesn't care about money. Because, hey, maybe you're like me, you don't care about paying yourself for the first 5 years of running your company.
According to my calculations, you yourself are worth somewhere in the vicinity of $9 or $10 billion today. I only say that because I've got a follow-up question.
Okay.
What's with the Honda?
This is a perfectly good car.
But if you do not design your business model to be profitable, then you cannot pay your employees and you will not grow as a business. So it comes down to understanding 3 key basic money problems. A, costs, B, cost per acquisition, and C, pricing strategy. Let's get into this. Under costs, you want to identify cost of goods and services. Let's say you want to launch an app. What's the cost of running the servers? Let's say you want to sell smart heated gloves. What the does the battery, packaging, garment, heating pad, device shell, PCB, and all of that cost? And secondly, setup costs. Setup costs are costs that happen only once, usually in the beginning. For example, how much do you need to design the app or the shell of the device? How much will the injection mold cost? This is where you subscribe to my channel and go to that video on how to work with others without getting fucked over. I cover a lot of the things that I learned launching my own products, going over from getting fair pricing to managing the project until it's completed. Let's go to the second part of the money problems. B, cost of acquisition. Leave this blank for now. We'll come back to it soon. Basically, it means, let's say your marketing is through Facebook ads. Now you want to know how much money you need to spend on a certain ad campaign to acquire a sale on your website. For example, if you have 5 sales for every $1,000 that you spend, then $1,000 divided by 5 is 200, equals your CPA, cost per acquisition. It's not ideal. It really depends on your margins too. Again, we'll come back to this later in the video to cover it more thoroughly. C, how do you price your service or product? Pricing strategy. Let's take my company, Quanta Vici's Smart Heated Socks, as an example. They cost $200. I know that paying $200 for a pair of socks is not a common thing. What we also knew is that there is a market for this product at this price range because this set of features that we are offering are worth it. It's all about market validation, which I am covering in this video and the next one, so stick with me. It comes down to the structure, right? Taking into account all the costs, cost of goods, setup fees, shipping, delivery fees, marketing costs, warranty, customer service. Pricing strategy heavily relies on perfectly understanding your costs and your target market. Basic common sense and rational thinking also plays an important role in this whole thing. Let's do an example. Let's say your total cost structure is $100. Let's say you have tested running ads and you see if your product is priced at $200, your CPA is as low as $50. But then if you sell your product as high as for $300, your gross margin is as high as $200, but then the CPA increases because naturally it is harder to sell more expensive things. So hypothetically, let's say your CPA triples to $150 if you price your product at $300 instead of $200. You need to make a table of a graph and identify these scenarios to help you decide your product's price. So in this case, selling the product for $200, your profit was $50. Selling it for $300, your profit was $50 too. But you would find in the grand scheme of things, if you price your product at $200, those $50 individual profits amount to a higher total profit. So you also want to take into account things like the brand image. Maybe you're going to tell yourself that, yeah, today we're going to sell not that many products, but having a higher price is positioning the brand at a more luxurious place, and in the future it will increase. So these are all the things you want to take into consideration. Why did I put myself through the joy of all this headache in this video explaining all this money problem? Because a simple equation helps you identify if your business is worth launching or not. The same equation most investors would use to decide whether to invest or not. And that, my sexy comrade, is revenue minus all expenses equals profit. And CPA, cost per acquisition, is also key. Because investment is all about ROI, return on investment. How much money can I make for each dollar that I put in? You're here, part 8. We're so close to part 10. Marketing. The 3 C's: communication, content, and channels. Communication. How do you communicate the benefits of your product? How can you make both an 8-year-old and an 88-year-old understand and get interested? What angle do you use for your messaging? Here you often hear focus on the benefits instead of the features. And B, content. What style of content do you need to produce to get the messaging across? Will you have an explainer video? Will you have animations? models, social proof, UGC, user-generated content. These are all amazing ideas, and let me tell you, Quanta Vici's Kickstarter video had a conversion rate of over 30%. That is 10 times the average. That would not have been the case if I had not done my research as a founder. I wrote the script myself. Of course, the video itself, I'm not a professional photographer or videographer. I had to hire those people, but I didn't just outsource the whole thing. Again, go to my channel, subscribe. I have a whole video on how to work with others. I followed those exact same strategies and methods to make that happen. You might also find a video of a seminar I did where I expand on the communication strategy used for Quanta Vici. And C, channels. What platforms do you use to get the message to reach the potential customers? Remember earlier we talked about the target market. Here, this is where it starts to develop into a strategy. Some ideas include Facebook ads, which includes Instagram, Google ads, paid features from media outlets, influencer marketing, the list goes on. Part 9. We are almost there, baby. Hang on tight, we're almost there. You got this. You've learned so much today. You deserve a cookie.
Sorry, guys. I'll cook it now. Marcus.
Okay, milestones on timeline, part 9. Listen, if you're not setting milestones with deadlines and meeting them, you're just looking around and you're not ready to become a serious entrepreneur. So do yourself a favor. Take a step back, reconsider your motive, be honest with yourself. I've seen way too many entrepreneur wannabes that are just playing around, not committing themselves, and I hate seeing that. Man, milestones and timelines. The way I like to do this is there are a few apps that I really like. There's Excel, there's Asana, there is Draw.io, there's Monday, there's so many apps. Test them all out, see which one works best for you. But whatever platform you're using, whatever tools you're using, even if you're using the good old pen and paper, I like to start with a brainstorm. I like to scatter all my ideas in one place. Then I organize them in terms of time, cost, dependency, and boom, you have a timeline. And that's kind of how I form most of my strategies. Having a goal, doing a brainstorm of all the ways you can get to that goal, and organizing all those elements together. And over time, plans are built to change. So over time, expect them to change and keep adapting. And part 10, you've made it. This is the last part. You've learned so much today. Okay, there's so much. So everything, in fact, relies on your mindset. If you have a crappy poo-poo pants mindset, then everything you do is going to reflect that. A lot of the content I put out on my Instagram page are focused on mindset, so be sure to follow me there too. I have posts that I use as a reminder to myself. These are very deep stuff that I'm sharing there. So I think you would like that. In a nutshell, one of the things that I keep reminding myself is it only becomes a failure when you stop developing towards success. What you perceive as failure is just development. That's something that I have to keep myself every day, because in this line of work, there is a lot of failure that you have to face. When you give up looking for methods and you start to rely on superstition, or if you start to cross your fingers, that's when things start to go downhill. And under mindset, another thing that I want to talk about is networking. I must say, 90% of my time during certain periods of time are just spent networking. 90%. Be sure to reach out to professionals, business owners, mentors, consultants, teachers, experienced people, not your friends or family, to review your execution of this business plan. And also remember, plans are there to change. So pivot, leave emotions at the door, listen to the data, because there ain't no magic. We made it, baby. The video is over. Remember, this video was just focused on the business plan writing. The business plan is fundamental. It's not even a key requirement. It's the all requirement for going to the next step, the market validation in the next video, where I cover those bulletproof methods for testing if your idea will succeed and grow or crash and burn right off the bat, especially before you invest too much time and money on it.
Wow, that's rough. That's hard.
It happens
a hard
every
lesson.
single day, every day.
If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you have any opinion, if you have any feedback, that's what we are here for, connecting and learning from each other. Speaking of that, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care. I love you all. Bye.